Namaste, and welcome to the Shaman and the Mermaid, our third episode in this series. And we're here to bring you the new moon report for the moon in Leo. I'm going to start off by just running down the dates and the major points that we're going to talk about, and then we'll break down a few of them or all of them, depending upon how our time goes. We have our stopwatch running. Okay. Here we go. New moon in Leo is Wednesday, July 31st at 9:12 p.m. here in Denver. And that is going to be a lot of heartfelt love, expression, see-me energy. We'll delve into that a little more. That's a big day because that is also the day that Mercury goes direct. 40 minutes later, after the new moon happens at 9:58 p.m., Mercury goes direct. Mercury went retrograde on July 7th, and on July 31st, he stations and begins to go forward again. Don't forget, though, that Mercury is in the shadow until August 15th. We'll talk about that maybe. After that, we have Venus trining Chiron on August 1st, a little healing and forgiveness of the heart. And then on August 2nd, this is one of those quarter turns of the seasons. This is the height of summer, and it is the halfway point to fall, and it's called Lammas or Lucansad or Lofmas. And maybe Katrina will talk about those. Then we have Venus square Uranus, also on August 2nd, the same day as Lammas. Mercury, by the way, is going to do that same square about 10 or 12 days later on August 16th. There's a repetition of energies this month in August where all the personal planets are covering the same swath of the sky, and so they're making similar energies to the other planets in the solar system. So we're getting repetition. Then on August 7th, we have the half moon in Scorpio, and that is halfway point through our cycle. The new moon seeds it. And then on August 11th, that's a big day astrologically. We have Jupiter going direct after about a 3.5 month retrograde, almost 4 month retrograde. Mercury enters the sign of Leo. Mercury had gone into Leo, and then he went into Cancer, and now he's cruising back into Leo again. And then the planet Uranus is going retrograde for about 3 to 4.5 months, also on August 11th. And then one of Katrina's favorite aspects of this cycle is Venus and the Sun. Yay! Venus and Apollo come together on August 13th for a conjunction. What did you say that would be, sweet?
I think it's a big day for luck and Lakshmi and shine and bringing all your best gifts forward. But we'll talk about that one too.
Okay, August 13th, Sun and Venus conjoin. And then the last one in our cycle is the full moon in Aquarius on August 15th. The last two bits I'll throw in there, which have more to do with star astrology, is that we are in the dog days of August. That is when the star Sirius is rising before the sun, and we have the Lion's Gate coming up on 8/8. Where would you like to start?
Oh, let's start at the very beginning. Very good place to start.
Do, re, mi.
Yes. Back at the new moon. So the new moon in Leo, we kind of like to give a theme to these reports, and they're around the moons, even though we're talking about all the other planets. And this is a Leo season. There's a stellium in Leo right now. That's an astrology word meaning a whole bunch of stars and planets all in that sign. And I think of this time right now, if I were to coin it with a theme, is it's a good time to embark on a new spark. And I say that because the new moon is new beginnings, fresh starts, do-over, starting something new, and so embarking. And then Leo is we think of it as the lion, but energetically it's very creative and very expressive and very much likes to be on stage and share its gifts and talents. And so this is a great time energetically to embark on a new creative spark that you have burning inside you. But it's not just, a little trouble could come into play if the new spark doesn't have a real sense of value or purpose to it. If it's just to be seen, because this is a time also where we just want to be seen. Just see me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And if there's no substance behind it or value behind it, which is why I like that August 13th date of the Sun and Venus conjoined, because those put the value to the expression together. Venus is values and worth and beauty and truth, and then the Sun is the full expression of it. And Leo, the Sun is home in Leo. It's home. It's super expressive here. So all the more reason for that. Embark on that creative spark, but make sure that it has purpose and value, not only to yourself, but for the good of the whole. Otherwise, it's a lot of pride, and this is that lion's pride time too to be concerned about. That's where I started.
Okay. That's good. So the Leo energy, and as Katrina said, that Leo energy is persisting for a lot of August until actually after the full moon. Then it's going to turn into a lot of Virgo energy. I wanted to cruise up to, I guess August 1st, the day after that, including Mercury direct really on the 31st. We were off camera when Mercury was about to go retrograde. I was saying, I think this is going to be a fairly easy retrograde and there won't be a lot of spanks. And I was kind of wrong. Mercury retrograde has had a lot of technical issues for us around vehicles and computers and things like that in a traditional way. But I should say, it has also brought up a lot of opportunities. Mercury, when it's retrograde, doesn't always mean don't do anything, don't just sit there. One of the things, or the wisdoms around retrograde that I have learned personally, is that retrograde can be a great time to bring closure or things into fruition that have already been seeded pre the retrograde cycle. So if you have been envisioning something or dreaming something or planning to write a book or make a move on a property or something, Mercury direct might start to put things in action because it's reviewing things that have already been in motion. It's not always the best time to start things that have come out of the blue and are particularly new. You want to take some time and consider them because Mercury's moving loud and fast during its retrograde, which means it's putting a lot of attention on, look here, do this, da, and we may not take our time to get into our seat and say, what's our true purpose? Let time suss things out. And so if there's wisdom during Mercury retrograde, lots of times it says keep moving forward, but take it one step at a time. Make sure that you are in your seat, that you're in your purpose, that you're considering all things. Don't sign contracts just because they're asked to be signed. Sign them when the due diligence has been done and when you've done your research and when it feels right and when things align. That's what I'll say about the Mercury period, but again, it goes direct on the new moon on the 31st, and then it's cruising through its shadow. But the next day after that, there's a really sweet aspect, Venus trine Chiron, and really simple, healing and forgiveness. Venus is our wantingness to love and to connect to others. Chiron is our wounds, but it's also our greatest gifts that we carry in this life. Our teacher Kaipacha says if you find Chiron in your chart, you can both find your greatest wound, but you can also find one of your deepest connections to your soul purpose here. The wisdom is within the wound is the medicine that you carry that you can share with others and to help them and to put that light back into the world that you've healed. So this time, Chiron is in Aries and Venus is in Leo. It's a lot of masculine and fire energy that's being healed. And so it's a good opportunity to have sweet conversations with yourself, with another, and just let things go with the flow and have a nice heart connection.
Be a good time for that I'm sorry moment. When you need to call up somebody and say, you know what, I'm sorry. Even if you're not the one who was at fault, you can just pick up the phone and be kind and loving and caring and offer the medicine of forgiveness as well as sympathy and compassion. Very compassionate day, August 1st.
Aho. Did you want to talk about Lammas?
Right, so we mentioned that it's the midpoint between summer, which feels like we just said was happening, but that was June 22nd-ish, and it's midpoint to the fall equinox, so that will be September 22nd-ish. And so August 2nd is that middle point, and midpoints on the calendar, you know, you've got the spring, fall, summer, winter, and then you turn on the axis, and those are those other points, like we call it Groundhog Day here in America, but you have Imbolc, and you have Samhain at Halloween, and now Lammas. And it's the first harvest of the season. When the wheat comes into harvest, we gather this up. So starting to gather up our fruition, starting to gather our seeds that we planted back in late April, 1st of May perhaps. And traditionally, in some parts of Northern Europe, that gathering of the wheat was then baked into loaves. So this is a loaf mass, and taken to church, and it was blessed. And it's kind of a way to honor and show our gratitude for our abundance and our harvest and the things coming through to fruition. So a good day on August 2nd to take into account, if you're not harvesting your wheat, which many of us are not, but take into account the abundance that you have. Take pause and stock of all that is plenty in your world. Take a moment for gratitude for this abundance that's in our life. And we have quite a bit of abundance. And if your first go-to response to, so much is going wrong in my life, all the more reason to stop on that particular day and take focus on what is right, because we can let that what isn't right feeling snowball and make us feel like we're in we get very anxious and fearful when we focus too much of what's not right. So I like these midpoint check-ins that help us stop, take pause, and assessment of what really is. And really, when we look at things, there might be some negative, dark things going on in your life, but there's also a lot of wealth of love and friendship, abundance, and goodness as well. So that's on August 2nd, taking stock of your harvest and perhaps reaping what you sowed clear back in that, I guess it was the end of May is the Buddha moon when we do our official planting of our seeds.
Good. Happy Lammas. I like saying that anyway. Lammas. Another energy coming up. I like llamas.
He does.
Like
I was just about
and
ready
the Dalai
to
Lama. They're all good. We need a picture of a llama and Dalai Lama. We diverge on the Shaman the Mermaid. So around that time, there is no specific date for this next part, the dog days of August. I'll set it up, and maybe Katrina can talk about the energy a little bit. The dog days of August and the dog days of July actually have to do with the dog star, which is Sirius. Most of you are familiar with Sirius during the winter time because it's the brightest star in the winter sky. As a matter of fact, it's the brightest
star, period,
that we can see.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't see so much the dog star Sirius during the early months of summer because it's right by the sun. And so it's out during the day, and of course you don't see the other stars and planets when the sun is out during the day. However, starting sometime around July 7th, 8th, 9th, depending upon your latitude, meaning if you're farther south, the dog star Sirius will start to rise before the sun early in the morning. That's called the heliacal rising. Helios is the Greek word for sun. Our northern latitudes don't get that until later in July. And about now here in Colorado, maybe even up until August 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th in the higher latitudes, the star Sirius will rise before the sun. If you have an unobstructed view of the eastern horizon in the morning just before sunrise, you'll see that star rising. By the way, you'll also see Venus and Mercury, so it's quite a show this time of year. You get the dog star and those two planets, and they're all brilliant in the morning sun. I don't know exactly when in Denver that is, but you'll check local ephemeris charts on that. But there's a whole bunch of mythology and wisdom, both from the scientific NASA side and then also from the ancient traditions on what does this mean, though, around the star Sirius, and why do we have such a close relationship with it here on Earth. Do you want to speak on that?
Well, I don't know that I'm the guru to speak on this, but my rough understanding of Sirius, it was used to navigate when the Nile River was rising and flooding. So when they saw Sirius rising before the sun, they knew that that meant the Nile was going to flood. So that's more of a maybe helpful in managing your lifestyle back in the day. But on another level, it's a secondary sun in a sense, and it's it's on a solar system of its own, and it's coming very close to two things happening. The sun and Sirius coming together at this time, they get really close. So it's like two big shiny energies in the sky coming together. That's a lot of power, and we feel it. And so we've used that statement, it's the dog days of summer, and we kind of think of it as like a dog panting, and they cool themselves off with that. They're really doing like Shatali breath with their little tongues hanging out. But so we think of it as hot, is what I'm trying to say. But really it's this extra bit of exuberance, like a second sun is coming in, giving us some extra shine at this time. So that fits really well with that Leo energy of letting your spark ignite and bringing your creativity into fruition. All the big lights are shining on the stage. It's like, boom, boom, go, you're on. And I feel like the Sirius at this time, starlight, is helping light up your stage a little bit more. And then another cycle playing out, this is on a bigger, like 26,000 year cycle, and Michael kind of referred to this on the last report, that we have the Yugas, what's the word he used, and their time frames, about 26,000 years, where there's cycles of life, and we're coming to the close. This was in relation to the ending of the Pisces era and coming into the dawning of Aquarius, and but on the Yuga language, we're coming to the close of the Kali era as Sirius comes on its orbit closer to the sun too. Now Sirius comes close to our sun, seemingly from our perspective, every year about this time. But on a bigger play out, it's also, they've taken their far out loops and they're coming back in towards each other, and this is what we would say we're returning to the Satya, or the golden era of enlightenment. So I like to think of that. I like to hold that in my awareness, that we are returning back to a higher consciousness as Sirius is taking that turn back towards the sun and the sun towards Sirius on a bigger time frame playing out. And I know that that's kind of hard to wrap your brain around, but I think that you could put it in a nutshell. Sirius is a good thing, and it's extra light on your stage, and we're coming into a stronger sense of enlightenment, even though when you turn on the TV, it says terrible things happening in the world. And not to turn a cheek to that, but playing out bigger are bigger things helping us to move into a higher consciousness, which is part of that Leo energy right now, using your creative spark for something that has value. Doubly needed right now. We need these creative genius ideas that everyone out there has. Your gift coming to fruition, like the lammas, the wheat coming to harvest, that loaf of bread, so that we can share these and help us. We need help, people. We need to get out of our troubles with the environment. We need to get out of our warring situations with one another. We need to settle down on our nuclear warfare. And so this is where our great ideas could come in. And you might think they're a stupid idea. Oh, this would never work. But don't think that. This is the time to jump on the stage and present them, especially as we come up on Mercury in Leo. That's the time to express it. So from now until August 11th is when Mercury moves into Leo. We mentioned that earlier. We have like these few 10 days here to just really gun for the stage and get everything ready so that we can get up and test, and then say it, do it, express it, be part of that Mercury in Leo on August 11th.
I like that.
Thanks.
Along with that, as Katrina referenced, on August 11th, when Mercury goes into Leo, Jupiter goes direct that day after being retrograde for several months. So Jupiter is the energy that makes everything bigger, brighter, faster, longer, visioning, trust, truth. So with Leo, with Mercury and Leo and all this other Leo energy, we have the Sun, we have Venus, Mars, and Mercury all hanging out, and the new moon, which seeds the energy for a month, for 28 days, is putting that Leo energy out there. So again, Katrina said, if you are in alignment with your soul's purpose, your dharma, it's a perfect time to stand up on stage. And all of us are sharing, there's your personal dharma, your spa dharma, what you or me individually came here, and then there's the collective dharma, what we're all here to do. And I think it's pretty simple. We're all here to learn how to be more loving. We're all learning how to come back to Mother Earth. And so this can be a collective time where we all stand up in our personal dharma, and our personal dharmas will all point back to being more loving. They will all point back to drinking clean water, to taking care of the children. By the way, Leo is the sign that rules children and taking care of the next generation. And what better way to take care of the next generation than to love on Mother Nature and our resources in the Ma? At least that's what I think.
So if you have ideas about how to take care of the earth or the children or the water, stand up and say them. This is the time. It's beautifully aligned for that.
And then the day or two after that, August 13th, is the Venus and Sun together.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
I love it. So Venus is, as we mentioned, love. It's truth. It's beauty. She's the goddess Aphrodite. And the sun is this brilliant star. Think of just the most attractive energy you can hold in your mind. And the two of them are side by side on August 13th. Not literally side by side, but from our vantage point, again, they're what we call conjoined or conjunct. And these two powerhouses, like truth, beauty, love, with this brilliance backing it or connecting to it, gives it extra force. And that's just on the follow-up of Mercury going into Leo too. So we express what we're saying, and then we get this extra dose of goodness that kind of pushes the energy or momentum forward to help let it shine and come into fruition. I keep using the word fruition, but that's what this is. This is the ripeness, the fruit, the time for us to be our full self, be our full purpose, and step into our potential. More than ever, we need everybody to do that and not play small, but be bright like the sun and put a lot of value and love into what we believe in ourselves to be capable of doing. Now we jumped ahead. We went into from August 2nd at Lammas, and we went into August 11th with Jupiter direct and Mercury going into Leo. And then we went to August 13th with the Sun and Venus conjoined, and we missed one or just skipped it. And I want to go backtrack to a couple of them, actually, we skipped over. And on August 2nd, also the same day as Lammas, is Venus squaring Uranus. So if Venus is truth and beauty and values and love, and a square means a challenge, and Uranus is that crazy Uncle Uranus, that anything random, sparky, lightning bolt, you never know, there's a challenge there. And you want to speak to Uranus and Venus squaring?
Yeah. Uranus is, if you think of nature, as Katrina said, it's a lightning bolt, and lightning happens during thunderstorms mostly. And that's when you have two pressure systems coming in. One is hot and one is cold, and they seem opposed to each other. And the lightning is something that resolves two irresolvable differences, or two pressure systems that are pressing up against each other. The lightning cuts through, kaboom, there's light, flash, energy, big, and then there's a moment of release after the tension. So while this can be a challenge when having that love and beauty and desire come up against this electricity and something new or different, it can also be seeding, as they say in the Lakota. The thunder beings may say, do something new, do something different, listen to spirit instead of your ego. And then the opportunity comes out of the challenge. And after the thunderstorm, we have the green grass and everything flourishes. So you could have the thunderstorm tear and burn down your house with Uranus striking lightning, or you can have it seed for the new cycle to come with all this Leo energy, what you envision, let it clear out what's old and doesn't need to be there anymore, and lead with love. That's what I would say about them.
Right. And then also on August 11th, Uranus will go retrograde. We'll take a slower review of where it wants to be that lightning bolt at. So just have that in your awareness. I think that, you know, the theme of this is embark on your creative spark and do it with, make sure there's value to it. The only real downside that foreseeably I see here is that potential for arrogance or pride, not holding a value to what you just want to be on stage to be on stage. You're not trying to really make an offering for the good of the whole or for improvement of your own dharmic path or purpose, but just trying to show off or be full of yourself. So just watch your intention at this time and stay in alignment with that more truthful, deeper, beautiful part of yourself that's also in alignment with the cosmic flow or the ritam, and everything should go smoothly. And we'll catch up with you at the full moon in Aquarius on August 15th when Mercury is out of its shadow period and all things are cool. We're direct on the 31st, but there's still that little bit of shadow. You want to speak to what shadow is? That's always confusing, I think, to people.
If you consider Mercury a car going down the highway and you're traveling down and you pass mile marker 31 and then you go forward up to mile marker 41 and you're like, I forgot my wallet at that gas station, and you turn back around all the way back to mile marker 31. So, and then you go forward again back on the highway and then go on your journey. The shadow area is the miles that you're tracking over and back and forth. So even though you've gone direct, like when you've turned around and get your wallet and you got your wallet, then you're going forward again direct at mile 31, but you've already traveled from mile 31 to 41, and that's the shadow. You're tracking over ground you've already been through before, but you have accomplished your mission.
Things are safe, but you've been here, done that already. So after August 15th, we're out of that shadow period and it's free and clear new territory for things, but not to worry, it's still direct, and I always love being out of Mercury direct. And just as a little side note, when he was talking about it really hit us hard, he spilled a whole glass of water on his laptop. He got a flat tire on his bike. He got ran out of gas in his car, and my car blew up, and there was something with the camper. Oh, the awning ripped off of the camper. Just wind came up, brand new to us camper, rolled out the awning for the first time, big gust of wind, no more awning. Mercury retrograde. So I look forward to direct on the 31st and that new moon. Have a beautiful duration in Leo. Be your creative spark, and we'll see you next time.
Namaste.